It was pretty funny once. I was giving this section of this talk at one parish. It was at a youth group. There was like a year 10 to 12 mixed youth group, right? And so I just told the boys about opening up the door for the girls. And after the talk, I was kind of hovering around the door anyway, and I was talking to these four boys, right? They were like year 11, year 12, I don't know. And this girl kind of walked in the middle of us, and she was going for the door. And this one guy goes, wait, and he jumps out, he grabs the door, and he pulls the door out. And she kind of laughed. It was a bit embarrassing. She was just by herself, right? And she walks through the door, and this guy, he's got the door open, right? And then like he closed the door, and he just goes, yeah! And then all his mates are like, yeah! And I was like, yeah! Anyway, but it was like, it is kind of built in. Like men know it's like, yeah, like that felt right. Like I am supposed to do that, right? How should we be interacting with people of the opposite sex or the other sex as a single person that is going to make them feel cherished, honored, and respected by you? And here's the key: we're going to slipping into the romantic side of friendship now. Okay? How do we treat people of the other sex in a way that is going to make them feel cherished, honored, respected, and loved, but at the same time is not going to create confusion in a romantic sense? Okay? Because what is the greatest pain of the whole dating scene? It's confusion. It's about, I don't know if this guy likes me. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what this means when she said that or did that. That is what's so confusing. So my goal always, with every step we're going to go through here, is I want to remove drama and confusion. So how are we going to treat people of the other sex in a way that's going to make them feel loved and come to a deeper sense of self-worth, but not confuse them about how you see them? Amen? So firstly, let's look at the guys. Now, if I'm a little bit harder on the guys, it's only because I am a guy and I know what's going on, right? So guys, be a gentleman to every woman that you encounter. Not just the ones that you like, amen? And not just the ones that you could possibly date because you know they're single or because you know they're within your age range, right? In fact, this is probably one of the most important tests of manhood, I would say. Right? Important, really, really important. Because is there not a disintegration in a man's manhood if, this young, stunning girl he thought was stunning walks through the door and he jumps up, or maybe he sees her coming to the door and he jumps up and he opens the door for this young lady. He invites her in. Where are you from? He's really chatty, really polite, really fun and all that stuff. He's very respectful. And then he if it's an event like this, and he goes, oh look, come through here, and he shows her, where maybe she's new, and he shows her like what's going on, where they are. He offers her a drink, and he brings around like that plate of food. Would you like something to eat? He's really, really respectful, really kind, and she feels very honored. He comes over. Okay, she sits next to him. He pulls out her chair. She sits down. Geez, nice guy, right? Really, really, really kind guy, right? Then she goes, oh, gee, it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold in here. I know Simon wants the aircon on, but I'm a bit cold in here. And he takes off his jacket. He says, oh, would you like to wear, put that on? Oh, geez, how good. It smells like him. She's sitting there, smelling the coat. Smells just like him. This is awesome. Right now, very different than if that same guy noticed an older woman, okay, with a few children, or if she's much older, and he looks at her come into the door and just chooses to ignore her completely. Now, what's the only thing that has changed there? Is the first young lady as valuable in the eyes of God as the older woman? Absolutely, she is. But his treatment of her is completely different because the second lady, there's nothing in it for him. He's treating the first young lady with respect and honor and trying to be as impressive as he can be. Why? Because he wants something from her. So she's noticed by him, but only because she's a good he wants to receive. Does that make sense? Right? But if anybody else walks through that door, he's not interested because it's not going to be a win for him. He's missing that she's made in the image of God and does demand the same treatment, but he's not giving it to her, right? Now, this is something that I really picked up, okay, when I was single. I started noticing, okay, in the parishes that I was doing youth ministry in. So I was stationed at like one parish where I did most of my ministry, but I was getting invited to go around. So I've seen a lot of different parishes and heaps of different youth groups. And what I was starting to notice, okay, is that this is very much a trend, right? That the men will really chase after the girl that he might want something from or likes. And even if it's a girl that walks in the door that is his age and she is single and he knows that, but if he's not drawn to her external appearance, then she gets the same treatment as the older woman because he's not interested in her, right? But what I noticed was this is a really horrible preparation for the kind of love that is needed when you are married, right? Now, just let me explain, right? When you meet someone, she's beautiful, he's handsome, smells good, whatever, muscly, all this stuff, right? You're very drawn to somebody. It's so easy to be on your best behavior with that person, isn't it? Is it easy to try and impress them? It just comes naturally, right? They ask you to do a favor and you jump at the favor, even if it puts you out majorly. Oh, you want me to drive to, 5 hours to get something for you? I would absolutely love to, right? And because, do you want to come in the car with me? It'd be 10 times better. We'll spend 10 hours together in the car, right? But as every relationship, as it happens with every single one, right? Those warm, fuzzy feelings, it's of course I'm a big pusher in saying do not let complacency win over in your marriage. You need to be intentional and keep fighting to create the romance and maintain the romance and to grow that romance and passion and love. But there's no secret, okay, that every single time I'm not going to be driving home with butterflies in my stomach when I see Madeline in the same way that I would if it was 8 years ago when we first met. It just doesn't work that way. I love to see her, but it's not the same kind of feeling. Amen? And so what happens in fact, I was on the phone with somebody just this afternoon who was saying she's been with her boyfriend for 6 years or for 5 or 6 years, and she was like, we've just hit a bit of a dry patch where the feelings aren't the same as they used to be, right? This is normal. Every relationship will have that. The question is, how do you treat that person that you do love even during times of dryness when the feelings are not as strong as they were at the start? And I've been married in October this year. Me and Madeline will have been married 5 years. In the course of that 5 years, there have been periods of weeks, days, months where maybe I'm struggling with something, she's struggling with something, and there's definitely not the romance and passion doesn't feel the same as it can in other times. There are times of dryness and it's difficult. Guess what though? How I love her in those times proves how much I really love her, doesn't it? So you really love someone when you're loving them and you're not getting a lot back because maybe they're really struggling and they're not in a position to give you a lot. When someone's really down or really anxious, it would appear, and I'm not saying this to put them down, but when someone is feeling down, they tend to get very self-centered, don't they? They get so self-absorbed in just trying to get through every day and get through this problem that they find it very hard to really give a lot back to the person that they might love, be it a spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend. But in that moment, the real test of that boyfriend's love or that wife's love for her husband is, how does she keep treating him or her even when they're not getting a lot back? When the feelings are not there, that's the true test of your love. And so I always say, okay, to single people, if you really focus on being a disinterested friend to every single person, especially members of the other sex, It is the best training for what kind of love that marriage will ask of you. Because as a single person, if you learn to treat the young lady that you don't find as pretty, if you can treat her with the same respect and love and care as you do the girl that you're really drawn to, that is a real man. That's showing that you aren't disintegrated in your manhood, but you're understanding you have the gift, you've got the virtue, the skill, that you treat every woman with love and respect, and you cherish them and you honor them, no matter how you feel toward them, because you see the greater value in them. Amen? So when you transition into a romantic relationship with somebody, you're going to be well trained for when that relationship hits a tough patch, or when that relationship hits a dry patch, because you've already learnt that virtuous that behavior, that no matter how I feel, love still, if I love them, it still calls me to treat them a certain way. Amen? So, men, I'm going to encourage you. What are some simple ways that you can do this? Try, guys, initiate acts of service and kindness to every single young lady that you encounter. Sorry, not young lady, any lady that you encounter, no matter how old she is. Now, guys sometimes need a little bit of help with this stuff, right? Guys tend to think, okay, what does it mean to be what does it mean to treat a woman well? They just look for doors. It's like, I just got to open the door. It's all they got, like open the door, right? And it's honestly, that's an easy one, right? So I'd certainly start there if you're not already doing that, right? But all I'm going to say is think outside the square. When you are in a room like this, okay, for every young man in this room, every man in this room, you've got all these lovely young ladies around you. Your mindset should be, whenever I'm in a group like this and there's young women around, I need to be constantly thinking, how can I put myself out to serve them and to make them feel cherished and loved and honored by me? Every single young lady, I don't care how, whether she's single, whether she's in a relationship with somebody, that's not the point. It's about learning to be a disinterested friend and treating every single person as best you can, right? Okay, as I said, the example I used before, pulling your chair out for a girl. If she's cold, offering her coat. I know this is a big one for a lot of girls. Okay, just show of hands. Guys, who of the guys has felt unsafe at any point in the last month? Have you ever felt like you were somewhere you're like, I don't feel safe here? A bit nervous to be on my own or whatever it is, right? Ladies, raise your hand if at any point in the last month you felt unsafe somewhere. Can you raise them high? High. Okay. So, that's a good clue, fellas. Okay. So, women tend to feel unsafe a lot. Guys, when I ask guys like that question, they don't even know what it means. They're like, unsafe. Have I felt, like, what does that mean? I wasn't attacked or robbed, I don't know, right? But girls, it's like they know, it's like, oh yeah, like that's pretty regular. Like if I have to walk somewhere alone, if I go, I know girls get uneasy going to Catholic functions if they haven't planned who's going to walk with them to the car after. True? And I don't say that to make fun of them. That's a real thing. So guys, if you now know that, okay? Like this is a clue, men. Okay? If you're at a function and a young lady is like, I'm going to go now, and she's not going, she's begging for somebody to accompany her to the car. Is that true, ladies? Yes? Okay. So guys like, oh, all good, see you later. And he's off. And she's like, I've been saying I've got to go for half an hour, but no one's picked up that I don't feel safe walking to the car, right? Or, a comment, I've got to take the train back or whatever. It's like, honestly, guys, if you're looking for them, they are smacking you in the face, opportunities to serve a woman. They are literally slapping you in the face every day, and we just miss them because most of the time we're thinking about, I'm just going to serve what's going to bless me. But when every single young lady, when you learn to say, look, every woman has to be cared for, I want to make sure she feels safe and honoured, respected. When you walk her to the car, even something, girls pick up these little things. Walk on the side of the sidewalk closest to the cars. She feels safer by being further away from the cars. And this was old-fashioned. I mean, this was a thing. Guys always did this. It started off because when they would ride on horse and cart through the street, there was a lot of horse poo on the side of the road, and so the men would always take that spot. So if the horse going past, or when the car started would go past, they splashed water up, or they splashed the horse poo up, he would cop it and not her. That was just all. Now we don't see the same point in doing it. But is it not true still? Like the ladies sense that stuff. It means a lot to them, right? So those kind of things, I would just encourage guys, think outside of the square. How can you, or you know what, come up with something new. What I've said, that doesn't limit it, right? Be as creative as you can. Look constantly for ways to serve every young woman that you can, right? It was pretty funny once. I was giving this not this whole course. I was just giving this section of this talk at one parish, and it was at a youth group. There was like a year 10 to 12 mixed youth group, right? And so I just told the boys about opening up the door for the girls, and after the talk, I was kind of hovering around the door anyway, and I was talking to these four boys, right? They were like year 11, year 12, I don't know. And this girl kind of walked in the middle of us, and she was going for the door. And this one guy goes, wait, and he jumps out, he grabs the door, and he pulls the door out. And she kind of laughs. It was a bit embarrassing. She was just by herself, right? And she walks through the door, and this guy, he's got the door open, right? And then he closed the door, and he just goes, yeah! And then all these mates are like, yeah! And I was like, yeah! Anyway, but it is kind of built in. Like, men know it's like, yeah, like that felt right. Like I am supposed to do that, right? And I think girls deep down, like you do. I mean, I know that was a funny story, right? But you feel honoured, right? When those acts of service are sincere, you do feel honoured, right, in that stuff. So guys, I really just, and then I want to challenge you, be as sincere and kind in speech as you possibly can when you're around a young lady.